Avi. So you, of course, are like into e-com,
Hi.
cinematography, advertising. You're doing a lot of things. You have your own projects. You have an e-commerce brand coming up, Fulfilled. But before we talk about that, tell us your origin story of how you got into, cinematography, photography, and things alike.
Yeah, so I do strictly video. I never really got into the photography game. In high school, actually, backtrack, before high school, I used to be into like wanting to shoot like YouTube content and just getting into like just a camera. I always had it. I always had it in my house. I always had this little Canon one-shot camera. I'll never forget it. It was my first camera that I've ever had. It would always just be in the drawer of my dad's office growing up, and I always saw it. It was always next to me when I was on the computer, and like something just enticed me all the time. Just use it or like try it out or just turn it on. And I was like, I never really did anything with it. But then I turned 13, and then I got this thing called the PlayStation Vita. I don't know if you ever heard of it,
No, of
but it's
course,
like a
yeah.
PSP with a touch screen. So I got these games with it, and then I was like, you know what? Let me start a YouTube channel. Let me try to like make some videos. And then I remember it so perfectly. I had a broken arm. It was grade 8. I had a cast on, and I had a recycling bin in a brand new condo that we were moving into with my family. There was no furniture in it, and yeah. So I took the recycling bin, I put it down on the floor, and I put the Canon one shot, and I actually shot a video. So if you search up my name on YouTube, you'll see the video when I was like 13 years old of the review that I was doing over the game. It was like FIFA 2011 or something like that, or 2012. And then yeah, that was like the first video I made. But then fast forward into high school a few years later, I took this course called Communication and Technology, which is Comtech is what we call it. And that's where you learn the basics of like Adobe Premiere, Adobe After Effects, Photoshop, etc. And I didn't do video. I just shot that one video, and then I just never really got into it after. Then once high school hit, it kind of enticed me more into it. And we were learning how to do photography and all that, and I just wasn't really into the photo stuff.
Hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna learn the videography. Like, and I would just screw off on my own in class, sit in the corner. I was that kid that just like didn't do the assignments and like wanted to focus on like what I was doing and like try to build something in a sense. And like I would YouTube a bunch of stuff on how to video. Shout out Sam Calder and Peter McKinnon. Those are the first guys I learned how to shoot content from, and also Jay Alvarez. He's one of the OGs. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but
No, of
some of
course,
the
yeah.
people that may be viewing this probably have heard of him. But these are the OG in the industries, and these are the people that I've learned off of. And so I started doing that, and then I would get to a point where I had a cracked phone. That was my only. I was broke at the time. I didn't have any money. Like I didn't have like my parents couldn't buy me a camera, so I had a cracked phone that I remember it was the iPhone 5. It was like a 5S or something, and I live near like the hood of Toronto. So I used to like I made an Instagram account with my to start posting video content, and I used to watch like car commercials and like car edits that people would make. Also, a guy I used to watch and admire his videos. His name's Charlton, Brock Charlton. His Instagram's at Charlton Visuals, and I used to watch his videos. And then I got hit up one time when I made the Instagram account, right?
Hmm.
And I went around Toronto with my cracked phone, just shooting random content, corny content around the CN Tower and stuff. And I posted it, and some random artist from Toronto hit me up and was like, "Yo, do you want to shoot a music video? Like, I know you don't have any content, shoot it for free, and you could build it, right?" And I was like, "Okay, dope." 16 years old, like houses of these artists, like shooting a music video. I have them on YouTube. I could show you could link them in the description so people can see them one time. But and then fast forward, I started doing a bunch of music videos, and then I started shooting in the clubs. So like when I was 17, I would obviously in Toronto the legal age is 18 to go into the clubs,
Hmm.
and I don't know where you're from, but That's how the legal age was there. And I would go to the club, pretend like I lost my ID, and I would have all my camera gear that I saved up from shooting all these little music videos for these trap artists, and I would like stick it in my jacket and my bag and stuff, and pretend like I lost my ID, and somehow, some way, I would get in, and I would just start shooting content in the clubs. There would be like DJ Khaled in there one
Sheesh.
night, and I would go up to DJ Khaled and be like, "Yo, you need me shooting content for you?" And he'd be like, "Who is this kid?" And like the bouncer would try to kick me out, but then Khaled was like, "No, no, no, you know what? Leave him here. Let him stay." And then I shot a video for him, and then I used to sneak into like music festivals, like Ink Entertainment, Bell's music festivals. I would hide behind the porta potty before the security gets there, and then sneak on stage and start shooting for all these artists.
So
And
was that sort of your niche?
and
You know,
yeah,
kind of like
fast forward.
music artists, pop culture.
I honestly, I just wanted video content to um, like just build up a portfolio. It
Yeah, I
was
feel
I would
you.
shoot. I was the guy that'd be like, anything you need a video for, I'll shoot,
Yeah.
type of thing.
Uh-huh.
So I did that, and then fast forward now, I'm going into like brand content. I used to shoot a bunch of clubs and all that, but that's not really my thing anymore. Music videos aren't even my thing anymore, unless they're for like specific artists that I like really want to work with. Then I'll take that on. But now I just do brands, products, e-commerce, um, yeah, travel companies, hotels. Shout out to my mentor Eric Demir. He owns this page called Earth Picks. It's the biggest travel community page on Instagram. And I actually hit him up one day last year, and I was like, "What's up? I love your page." His page just came up on Explore. Something told me to DM him, and I just hit him up, and I was like, "We need to work, etc." We started talking. He answered my DM, and he's like, "Come on my next trip. We're gonna go to this place called Anguilla, which is in the Caribbean, which is in Saint Martin." He's like, "Shoot a video, and then we'll see if we vibe, and then see how we work." And then we did that. It went great, and then we just became close business partners. And then from then is history. And now I'm just in the present moment where I'm working with brands, companies, products, e-commerce brands specifically, a lot of fashion brands. That's exactly why I'm actually getting into this company called Fulfilled, which is a bikini marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to call it a bikini brand because I want to make it like a hub for exclusive bikini brands. Where because I shoot, I've last year I've been shooting a lot with like influencers. I decided to move to LA from Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
just like make the move. Had no visa, was broke as fuck. Like, sorry, are you allowed to swear on here?
No, yeah, no worries, no
You
worries.
can just bleep it out, I guess.
Now you can curse. No, no, no worries.
Yeah. So I I did that, and then I just gained a big network of influencers in LA and across the states. Um, and then I decided, I'm like, you know what, since I'm shooting with all these girls, why don't I start a brand? Because then I can easily have them promote it and scale it. So that's what it is. Going with the flow in the present moment. We'll see where this takes me.
I feel you. Wait, but I
Yeah.
want to know this. So, like, of course, you said you got your first camera, you shot some videos, your YouTube video, and then you ended up sneaking into clubs and whatnot. But at what point were you like, okay, I'm gonna do this full time, maybe for the rest of my life. I'm not going to school. I don't care about college.
I don't think it's a thing where I'm gonna do it for the rest of my life. I think that this is just a phase, in a sense of like, this is a skill set that I've
Okay,
accommodated through just whatever situation, and that I feel like it's going to bring me bigger and better opportunities. I
for
feel
sure.
like
Yeah.
video work will always be a skill set that I'll have around me, but I don't think it's something I want to do for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, so, but yeah, it's just something that happened out of the blue, because it was out of like a intuition feeling. And I've
Yeah.
always loved video content. I always admired people shooting content. I've had people in the family that used to be directors, and yeah, I just always admired that.
Okay,
But
but was
I don't
this
think it'll
like,
be a rest of the life thing.
but when you first started, was it, a hobby or a side hustle, and then you were focusing on school, or were you just dedicated on, cinematography and being in the space of, with influencers and artists and just making videos for them?
Well, are you saying like how did it become a thing, or like?
No, I'm saying like at what point did you become, I say like full time, or were you like, complete focused on cinematography and working with trap artists and influencers, or were you kind of still focused on school at some point?
Oh, it happened. So right after high school, I knew I wanted to drop. I didn't want to go to college, and I wanted
Mm,
to just learn in the streets of like and just build connections. Just because of I had mentors young age, and I knew that they didn't go to school, and I knew that like they did their own thing, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try it out. I went to school for literally a day, first semester, first year, and I dropped out. You know, parents weren't happy about that, but you know, thank God everything in divine time works itself into place. You know, because now thank God, you know, they see that I'm doing my best and like I'm working with some individuals that I never thought I'd be working with. So you know, thank God, I'm really grateful for that. And yeah, like I honestly knew I wanted to drop out of high school, but then I was like, you know what, I'm ready in grade 12. I'm gonna finish it, graduate. I was always just doing my thing. I was never like crazy onto the social life, going to college, being one of these like frat kids, and like being
mm-hmm.
around all these like, you know, just partying all day. I always knew that I wanted to be a CEO, and I knew that it's gonna take a lot of grind to get to it. You know, so
Oh, for sure.
yeah,
And
that's the point that I didn't want to. I definitely didn't want to get into school because I had no desire for it, and it's just I got it instilled in my mind from mentors that I've had that like for what I'm trying to do, school isn't for me.
okay,
But you
and
know,
what was that?
I'm
What
not
was it
undermining
exactly?
school. What do you mean?
So, what did your mentors kind of instill, or what insights did they give you about, like, doing your own thing, creating your own
Well,
businesses?
more it was more of more so the fact that my mentor told me one time he's like where do you want to be in life? How much money do you want to make? I said I want to make millions of dollars a year. You know, I want to be a
Yo, okay, I'm recording right now. But we stopped at the point where you're saying
yeah.
that you told your mentor that you want to make millions of dollars.
Yeah. So I told my mentor that I want to. He's like, what do you want to do? How much money do you want to make, etc. This guy's like 40 years old. He's almost double my age, and I told him like, yo, I want to make millions of dollars one day, God willing. I want to be a CEO of a big company. I just want to be financially free, put my family in a position where they don't have to worry about a single thing, and just have generational wealth. You know, it's kind of corny to say because a lot of people are onto that wave now, but it's true and that's what it is. And just
Mm-hmm.
self-fulfillment. Screw all the money. I just want to feel fulfilled at the end of the day. That's
Yeah.
actually why I called it the Disney brand fulfilled, because it's a fulfilling feeling, you know, and it's a satisfaction and it's a sense of empowerment. But that we could talk about another time. But yeah, so he told me, he's like, how are you gonna sit in a classroom and learn from somebody that's making less money than you want to make? You're only gonna learn as much as the knowledge that he has in his mind, right? So it kind of like gave me a light bulb. I'm like, yeah, like why would I want to learn from somebody that I have bigger aspirations of being bigger than, you know?
Yeah, I
So
feel that. So that was your epiphany, that moment where you're like, okay, I'm out of here. I got to do something on my own. And
yeah,
literally that,
literally,
sheesh.
literally.
Anyway, how did you find your mentor?
Just like putting myself in the right circle of people, always wanting. I feel like I truly believe in law of attraction and manifesting your goals and the people around you. And I feel like just through writing my affirmations down every day and who I want to be around and what type of people I want to be around and what type of people I aspire to be like. I feel like the universe has brought that person into my life. I forgot how I met them, but I have a couple of mentors. You know, obviously my main mentor now is Eric Demir, who I told you who I met on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
who I saw his post. So yeah.
Now, was your skill set, of course, you've been doing this for quite some time now, but for any photographer or person in the digital space, do you think it's important, really,
Yeah, videographer.
it's not just about the skills, but really the network you make, the people that you meet and establish a network so you can work with these high influential people and establish yourself as a cinematographer, photographer, or content creator?
Hey, you cut out. What did you say?
Like, how important is it, like, not just establish like a good skill set of either cinematography, photography, or like being a content creator compared to being a good networker? Of course, in going down the DMs, networking with
They go
people,
hand
working
in
with them.
hand, like you can be an amazing networker and you can have amazing skill sets. Like I always tell this to my friends, like look at somebody that has, yeah, look at somebody that look at somebody like Lil Pump, or look at somebody like an artist that's in their basement, and like okay, look, I don't think Lil Pump is the best artist out there, but Lil Pump has the best connections. But then you go to an artist that's 20 times, if not 100 times better than Lil Pump, has no connections, and he's in his basement recording music and not putting himself out there. He's not gonna get anywhere in life, no matter how good he is.
Hmm.
But then you look at somebody like Lil Pump, who doesn't even have like crazy skill sets, who's popping and on Billboard charts, but because he has connections and he's networking and he's built those, he's established himself as a well-renowned artist, So that
Hmm.
I think they go hand in hand. That's the difference.
Okay.
It's not like one overweighs the other.
So even if you have an
That answers
okay
your
skill
question,
set, you
Joseph.
have to put yourself out there to really find people that you want to
Listen,
work with.
I know videographers out there that are complete shit at video content, but they're doing gigs for like huge brands. And I look at them sitting down, I'm like, wow, like like this guy's content. I'm not trying to like I'm not trying to put anybody down, but it's like they have the connections, and it's like, oh, this video content isn't that great. Like the frame rate's off.
Hmm.
It's like a basic skill set to know in videography and shooting and knowing how to use the camera is like knowing your frame rates and like how to use the camera. And it was off. And I always look back at that and be like, how does that person shoot for these types of brands? And it's funny because it's like you look at massive brands and it's like they may be big, but their content standards are very low. You know, so it's like
Hmm. And
yeah.
how did you get in the space of working for brands and whatnot and e-commerce companies? How did you transition from working with trap artists, influencers to working with actual brands?
Honestly, it was more of just me getting onto Instagram and just DMing a bunch of people, going through my explore page, meeting new people at parties or like networking events, or just other people that are in the space plugging me in with certain individuals.
So that was in LA. So you were networking in LA, and you would physically meet people there, and do a
I would
photo
DM
shoot.
people before I went to LA so that I would know that I set up
Okay.
myself up for success once I come to LA, that I'll have gigs or be introduced to people that do it.
Okay. And so,
Yeah.
what specific work or what type of work were you doing with them? Like what sort of
I was
projects?
mostly doing, and I still am mostly doing, like fashion brands. Like I don't know if you heard of like Dolls Kill or Dose of Roses or
Hmm.
Honey Bum or Honey Burdette, Fashion Nova, um, some other brands. I just did a campaign for Toyota,
Oh,
and
sheesh.
that was because I hit up a PR company and they hit me back and gave me a budget. So they gave me one of their new Toyota 2021 their TRD. It's like one of their new like sports sedans because they're trying to transition from the family car to the sports stuff. And I drove that car to Vegas by myself with a couple people and just shot for 3 days that campaign and sent it into them. But yeah, mostly e-com brands right now. But honestly, I don't constrict myself to anything. Anybody that needs content, if it fits my niche in a sense to a certain level,
Hmm.
like I'm not gonna go shoot a wedding. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
But mostly e-commerce, like just online business. Everything's online now. So majority of the brands that I'm working with right now are online. Like even
Okay.
with hotels, like I'll go to a hotel and shoot content, but they'll post that on their social media pages and their Facebook campaigns.
So wait, hold up. So you were working with Toyota now. That's impressive. Like, how do you? Of course, you said you got a network, but do you have some sort of, formula or way of thinking or a system, something
Don't be
that would
afraid
tell
to
us?
hit. Don't be afraid to hit anybody up, or don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to go up to that person and introduce yourself. Even if they say F you to your face for whatever reason, if they're having a bad day or they just don't like your presentation or the way you talk or the way your eyebrows look, like,
Uh huh.
don't be afraid to talk to them. Because the way I look at it is like, okay, the way I built up confidence in a sense is like, let's say I go up to a girl and I think she's cute or whatever. And I used to be so shy in high school. I wouldn't even talk to girls. I would be like, my hands would start shaking. Like I'd get all nervous if a girl started talking to me. But now it's like, I'll literally go up to a girl and say anything. Like if I think she's cute or I think she's pretty or I want to take her out or talk to her, I will literally tell her straight up to her face. Because it's like, odds are, if she tells you no or you reject, I kind of like strive for the rejection so that I don't have any expectation.
Mm-hmm.
But then because then it's like, it's more of a rewarding feeling when she's like, oh, I think you're cute too, and I want to talk to you or whatever. Like, here, take my number. Because then it's like, oh, I didn't expect that. But then it's like, my point is like, even if they tell you no and they reject you, odds are you're never gonna see them again. And if you do,
Okay.
it, I would just laugh because it's like, what's the worst, that's
Yeah.
gonna happen
So
from
don't
that.
expect anything really, kind of take it at
Don't
that.
expect anything from anybody. Don't think anybody's above you, or don't ever get intimidated by anybody because everybody's going home to the same bed, taking like
Mm-hmm.
everybody's in their mind at the end of the day, and we're all human. So
Yeah.
I don't worry about that anymore. But my advice to anybody trying to strive in whatever it is that they want to be, or like the problem is like, don't be afraid to go up to that person, or don't be afraid to take that leap, or like don't be afraid to take that flight. Like it's just, it's so weird. Like, people take social media and internet and technology for granted because it's like we have such an access of a database. Like, you can just go message Drake right now. He might answer you, he might not. Odds are he probably won't. But I'm sure he's going through his DMs or has somebody going through his DMs. So
For sure. It's like
you
lottery,
know,
but gotta take a chance. Now,
everything.
before you plunge in that
Few
DM or
seconds.
talking to someone, how important is it to back it up? So of course you need to have a portfolio, right?
Yeah, of course. So one thing I've done a lot of is free content. You know, so that Toyota campaign. So I actually was told to shoot it for free just so I could show them what I can do, because I've never shot a campaign for a car commercial, and obviously I don't look at it short term in a sense of like, oh, I want to get paid for this. I'm like, no, I'm gonna shoot it for free, and then let's say they don't even use it. They used it, thank God, they loved it. But even if they didn't use it, I have permission to use that as my portfolio, because then I could use that video and go to Porsche or Rolls Royce or Mercedes and be like, this is what I did. Let me shoot something for you.
Mm.
So it's like, there's always value that's being exchanged, whether it's free value or it's money or it's social equity. Like, I've done so much free content for people that have resulted in me getting paid gigs because of referrals and because of first impressions and because of like helping people out, and just because of what I believe in regards to like the universe. The more you give, the more you get. The less you give, the less you get.
Hmm.
So
So even as if
that's
you're
what
a
I think
starter,
is.
if you're just starting out, you think really the most important thing is to do free work.
Yeah, you have to build that portfolio. And if they're offering to pay you, then amazing. That's great. Use that. And then I never had that because when people were, when I was hitting them up. So it's like they had the leverage over me.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, do free work, go through the process, be patient, and like everything will work out.
Hmm.
Like, set the right intentions and then you'll attract the right outcome.
And
That's my mantra.
and what's your setup right now? What sort of cameras, equipment do you have? What programs do you use? What tools?
So right now I use Adobe Premiere and After Effects. I don't use
Hmm.
Final Cut Pro just because I prefer Adobe and its accessibility and more options that it has in regards to a wide range of what you can edit and what you can do and the capabilities of the platform. And camera-wise, I'm using a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K with an 18 to 35 Sigma lens art. Obviously, Canon mount for the Blackmagic. I have a couple G Master lenses and a couple other cinematic lenses. And I use the DJI RS2, which is my stabilizer, and a bunch of lighting gear like aperture lighting. Is the audio too loud or no?
Yeah. Yeah. It's the last minute.
It's too loud.
I can still hear you, but it's
You
still in
can
the
hear me
background.
though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, as long as you can hear me fine, and it will be okay. So, but yeah, so that's my setup. Um, yeah, coming from a cracked phone and like I don't even like, it's a great camera right now, the Blackmagic, but I'd rather one day I'm gonna get a red camera and a big, nice big camera that's good for high budget projects. But for now, it does the job and it gets things done. And like just don't cap yourself. Like if you can afford something, invest in yourself. Even if you can't afford it, take out a loan, pay that off. Like like do whatever it takes to make sure that like you don't sacrifice quality. You know.
Okay, so do you think it is essential? I mean, of course, a camera could be expensive. It can be expensive, like in the thousands of dollars, right? But you think it's essential, really, to at least invest not in Adobe Premiere or those expensive programs, but really get a good camera, and then maybe you can find a free software tool online and leverage that to make your
Yeah.
videos.
Man, there's honestly like there's no excuses to creating content. Like just because of what I've been through and like how I've evolved. Like, bro, I didn't have any money to purchase Adobe Premiere. I kept making new emails every 7 days just so I could get the trial and just to use the program. I would
Yeah.
do that. I had a cracked phone. Like obviously, like your camera gear. People say camera gear isn't important, and as long as you have the good skill sets, but I think it does matter. Invest into good camera gear because it does affect the quality of your content and how you can evolve with your portfolio. If it looks very bad, people aren't going to want to work with you,
Yeah,
Like, a lot of the reasons why people charge a lot of money is because they have great camera gear.
for
But
sure.
yeah.
Out of curiosity though, so you said you use Adobe Premiere, and right now I have a 2014 Mac, and Adobe Premiere runs very, very slowly on my Mac. What do you use, a desktop or a laptop to run your programs, like your Adobe programs, to be
I
more
use a
specific?
laptop and like honestly, I use a laptop and it still takes time to render video footage. It's still a hassle, but you just gotta be patient
Okay.
until you can afford something that's like 50 grand or 20 grand for like the most specced out like laptop or like computer. Like I'm very mobile, so I can't just have a PC set up. I
Yeah,
have
I
to have
feel
my
you.
laptop to like travel work.
Yeah, because I've been looking at some laptops, and of course, there's like a lot of hype on the new Apple one with the M1 chip, and supposedly, the rendering is pretty fast if you use Adobe. But of course,
I mean,
everyone
yeah.
raves about PCs, but I'm not sure. So that's just a little side question I had. So quality is important, but of course, there's no excuses. There's no excuses because you could find free software tools. There's literally alternatives. I forgot the name of it, but there's alternatives to Adobe
But you can use
Premiere.
iMovie.
Oh yeah, if you have a Mac,
You
yeah, of
can use
course.
iMovie. Like, bro, I was editing stuff on my phone when I didn't have, like, on an Android phone. Like, you know how hard it is to edit stuff on an Android phone? Like, it's hard.
So, what are some principles that you die by that are essential for any content creator nowadays?
Don't ever get jealous of somebody's content if it's better than yours because you don't know what they've gone through and you don't know how long they've been doing it. And I used to get jealous in a sense of looking at these guys and look up to them and be like, wow, their content's so sick. Or also one big thing is like, don't be a perfectionist. Just push out content, push, push, push. And like the more you shoot, the more you edit, the more your content will get better. Like I look back on my videos and I think they're so shitty. I still think my videos are shitty, but someone else may think my videos are the best things they've ever seen, you know?
hmm
It's just perspective at the end of the day, but some other principles are like just stay true to yourself and don't don't get lost in the hype of like all these like celebrities and like people and like every just like stay in your lane, like like try to create your own style, be unique. um don't don't oh yeah, that's about it. Like in regards to being in content creation, like the principles are what I said before. Stay true to yourself. Like make sure you network, make sure you like evolve and be respectful to people. Like always have a good attitude on set. don't be afraid to shout out Eric Demir because he's taught me so much, and it's like a big principle is don't settle for what your client wants. Always go above and beyond.
So
Always
what's an example? What's an
if a
example
client,
of that?
okay, let's say if a client asks you to shoot 2 TikTok videos for a campaign, shoot
Okay.
5, shoot 4. Don't give them the bare minimum. Like make them happy in a sense of like surprise them. Make sure a big principle and a big thing for me is why I received gigs in my life is referrals. Make sure you go above and beyond for that client because best believe they're gonna refer you to their friend in another business, which is gonna get you paid. So don't be selfish. Like even if it stresses you out and it takes you a lot of work, fucking do it. Like just do it. Like
Hmm.
do whatever it takes so that you can build.
So you always gotta, don't do the bare minimum. Do more. Just provide a lot more
Don't do the
value.
bare minimum. Yeah, provide as much value as you can because it's like you never know where it's gonna take you in life.
Okay.
You
And
know,
no, that's actually a good point. Yeah, I think you should do that for any gig because you'll feel people.
it applies to
They'll get
anything.
really happy. They'll get really happy, and then they'll be like, "Oh snap! I did not expect this." You know what I mean? Like, so for example, like if you get a shipment and it says 7 days, but you get it in 2 days, you just get really happy, and you feel
It's
happier. You
satisfying,
feel yeah, you feel like
because
something about that brand. You feel like more content.
it goes
So
back on what I was saying with expectation, and it goes with anything, even if you're like a plumber, like they ask you to fix the sink. If you see that their shower curtain is a little messed up, you're not a handyman, fix their shower curtain. Tell them, oh, by the way, fix the shower curtain. They're like, oh, how much is it extra? Don't worry about it. You know?
yeah. Now, at what point do you, of course, when you hit someone up to do work for them or free work, they have the leverage, right? But how do you establish a base point where you now have the leverage so that people can come to you because they want to work with you, not the other way around?
You know what I think it is? Today's social media life and like the way society thinks is like people want to be involved in other people's lives. And like you gotta, when people say fake it till you make it, like I used to like go to like concerts and like sneak backstage and pretend like I'm there. And in the meantime of what I was doing video content and like, do you live in Toronto?
Nah, I live in Stamford, Connecticut, which is like 40 minutes away from the city if you take the Metro North, like take the
Okay,
train.
so
So,
yeah. So have you ever heard of let's say imagine like the Grammys. Think about the
okay.
Grammys. I'll be walking on the streets with my camera and I'll pretend like I'm at the Grammys and like be like shooting for the Grammys today. And like
Mm,
people will see that, even though I'm not shooting for the Grammys, people will see that and be like, yo, we need a win because they want to be involved in people's lives. So like a big way to get clientele and people to hit you up is you gotta not to say flaunt a little bit or fake it till you make it, but like you gotta do a little bit of finessing, because it's like people, like I said, people want to be involved in people's lives. So when they say, "Oh, this guy's doing a Toyota commercial," or "This guy's shooting a movie for Quentin Tarantino," or something like that, they're gonna be like, "Oh, yo, I need this guy to shoot," or they're gonna send my profile to them and be like, "Yo, he's reputable. He's working with X, Y, and Z, and that shows that he's trustworthy and meets the standard of what people need." And then they're gonna hit you up. Like, don't be worried about that. That's the last thing you should worry about. People will always hit you up if you have good content and you're a good person and people speak highly of you. So yeah,
for sure, for sure.
that's how you get it. Like that's how it works for me. I don't know how it works for other people, but you know that's how it works for me and that's my experience.
Now, what's your overall ambition here? Of course, you mentioned earlier that you don't want to do this for the rest of your life. It's a good skill set, it's a good foundation, but do you kind of have a vision?
One day I'm gonna be a billionaire. I
And
don't know my
what's
vision. It's very tunnel vision right now. I'm so focused on the present moment. All
okay?
I know is that I'm gonna own multi-million dollar businesses that are gonna be really big one day, God willing, because I'm attracting it into my life, and this is what is meant for me. And coming from not much, I don't know. I'm just kind of going where the wind takes me in a sense, you know?
Hmm. So you kind of that's very philosophical because people say you got to live in the present, but at some point, not at some point, you kind of have to look ahead in the future. But if you look too far ahead in the future, you're not living in the present moment and you're not enjoying yourself.
Can't get lost in the sauce, bro.
You get
You
lost in
know?
the sauce.
You can't get lost in the sauce, bro. You have to stay focused. Focus on the now. Like focus on being the best at what you are now, and then things will change. Like I have friends that like worked at a grocery store and now they own like massive companies, and they like 3 years later they would. I don't know where I'm gonna be next year. You know, I don't know
Yeah.
where I'm gonna be tomorrow. Like,
Yeah, you may change your
you
mind.
know,
Right?
exactly. Who knows? Maybe I'll do video for the rest of my life. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
end up. Maybe I'll end up not even wanting to have any money and just go living on a farm and being satisfied with. You know, I just
Yeah.
want to feel. I just want a sense of fulfillment and be happy at the end of the day. Put my family in a position where they don't have to worry about anything, and knowing that they raised a good kid and that they did their job. You know, that's all I
Hmm.
care about.
I feel
Being
you.
happy, like, cause it's like, people laugh at me when I say, like with such a like confidence that I'm gonna be a billionaire one day, and I strongly believe that. But you know, in the back of my mind, as strongly as I believe that, it's not everything, because it's like there's people that have the most amount of money in the world, and they go home and they're the most miserable beings ever. You know, so it's like I don't know.
No,
I'm
that
just
makes
going with
sense.
the
So
flow. You know.
that's why you want to focus on the present moment because, I mean, yeah, if you, of course, anyone can have high ambitions, and once they achieve that, they may not be happy necessarily, but if you're living day by day, you're full, like in the present moment and enjoying yourself, and then once you reach that point, I think you'll be far more happy. If you just look ahead in the
Yeah.
future every
You
day.
see, we all want what we can't have, but then when we get what we want more. We're never satisfied, right? That's the nature of a human being. So it's like you gotta learn to be. I honestly learned at a young age to be happy with what I have, because it's like I never expected, you know, everybody wants to have all these things, but then when they have it, they want more. So it's like you gotta learn to be grateful for what you have and be accepting of who you are and what type of and the cards that you've been dealt with, because
Hmm.
your worst day is somebody's best day. So it's like just
Oh,
be
for sure.
grateful at the end of the day. Show as much gratitude as you can to whoever or whatever you believe in, you know.
Hmm. So
So, but yeah, so
going back to social media, of course, you want to build your portfolio. You can create a website. You can create a nice portfolio on IG, but the organic reach on IG is very low unless you know how to DM people, find specific people to work with, right? Do you think it's better now to work on platforms that have high organic reach, right? So, for example, TikTok, or
talk.
maybe so if you leverage TikTok, maybe you can grow a lot quicker there compared to other platforms like say YouTube and Instagram. So
Yeah,
you think that's a
that,
essential tactic
yeah,
nowadays?
100%. Like it's funny, like we're on a podcast right now. I feel like I'm on Impulsive, like I feel like, you know, yeah, have you ever heard of Impulsive?
Like I heard like impulsive buyer, like you kind of have
Search up
a
Impulsive
reaction.
podcast. Shout out Logan Paul. Shout out Logan Paul. Like he has a sick podcast,
Oh yeah,
and
Maverick. Yeah.
I'm not anywhere where I'm nowhere where I want to be, and it's just like I'm at a position where I'm just starting out, and it's like it's funny that you ask me these questions because it's like I'm still building myself, and it's like I still feel lost in a sense now. It's like what's my next move? Where's my next gig? Like, especially COVID right now, so many things are, like we don't know what's going on. We don't know. Everything's inevitable right now. We don't know what's happening. But yeah, TikTok, man, like that. Going back to what I said, don't be a perfectionist. Just push out content, push. Like the iPhone, like this creates dope content, like just with this, you can create sick content. So it's like,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that can be your very first
keep
camera if you
pushing.
really
Yeah, I
want.
think TikTok, Instagram, yeah, literally. So, but yeah,
That's dope, man. So I don't want to take too much of your time here, Avi. So if people want to learn more about you, maybe even work with you, show their portfolio to you, where can they hit you up?
yeah. So they can hit me up on Instagram at TravelAvi, TRAVEL. and then AVI. I'm very active on Instagram. I see everything. You know, one day, even if I had millions of followers, I'll still look at my DMs and respond, you know, because it's like, I think about, you know, like how I would want people to respond if I hit them up, you know, just be a real one at the end of the day. But yeah, you can hit me up on Instagram. That's mainly where I'm at. But yeah, all my social media is the same. So yeah,
Dope. So I'll put that in the show notes.
Instagram, Facebook, Avi Maman, AVI. Last name is Mamane. So yeah, that's my socials.
So yeah, I'll put that in the show notes. If anyone wants to hit you up or click on those
For
links
sure.
on your IG link, they can
Yeah.
DM me there, right?
Yeah.
All right, Avi. It was a
Thank
pleasure,
you.
bro.
Pleasure,
Thank you.
man. My first podcast. I'm
Yeah?
definitely